And good evening to everybody, and welcome to Real Talks After Dark. I'm your host, David Steele, and you've come to the right place if you like movies, because I talk about new movies, which I saw one tonight, and I'll be talking about it in a couple of minutes. Old movies, and I do retrospectives here on a monthly basis, along with the perfect movie series and everything in between. So, as I said, I went to go see a movie tonight and brand new movie, divisive movie, I think. And what I'm going to do, so as you guys see in the thumbnail, this is going to be spoiler ridden. So I'm doing this tonight to have it actually recorded. So everybody's going to see this live, but I'm actually going to release this on Saturday because I want everybody to get a chance to really experience this for themselves. And so, a couple of things right off the top. Number one, A24. A24 has been one of those studios over the past, I would say, 4 to 5 years that's really made their mark in a lot of different ways. And I mean, I just saw another A24 film not too long ago called Love Lies Bleeding. Loved it. Okay, starred Katie O'Brien, Kristen Stewart, Ed Harris. Fantastic film. If you guys want a good film, go check that out. This is A24. They got a couple in the pipeline, Maxine, which I'm really, really interested in seeing. And they got a couple more in the pipeline that I'm really fascinated in. Anyways, let's get to the one tonight. That's why you guys came here. So, this was one of the most divisive movies, I think, going to be of the year, but one of the most anticipated, probably at least in the top five next to Deadpool and a couple others. Okay, and I'm talking about Civil War. This is a movie that, because of the landscape of the country right now, okay, and let's be honest, guys, it's weird, okay? Lots and lots of things are happening that we never thought we'd see. Well, the thing is that this really touches upon a lot of it. It's a what if scenario. Okay. Now, there wasn't a film probably about, it was done in 1990. So I'm going to guess 25, 30 years ago, a little more than 30, 35 years ago, called By Dawn's Early Light. And that was an HBO movie. And that was basically about what would happen if there was a nuclear bomb that went off in the United States. And you had two factions. Okay. Powers Booth actually started in it with a couple of other reputable names back in the day. This is another film, okay, that basically says, what if? What if the country were split? Now, everybody that has seen the map, throw the map out. Okay, just throw the map out. Okay, because I don't think that's really a reputable source of, oh, this state would do that or that state would do that. Just throw the map out. Okay, because I think that in itself kind of it doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is actually because we never, so the way they touch upon how far they are is in distance. So we start in New York, okay, and they're going to go to DC, but by this time it's a war-torn country. Okay, we have two factions. Okay, the WF, okay, and then we have the other faction. And so this is actually a very good cast too. But before I get to the cast, I want to talk about the director. This is Alex Garland's fifth or sixth film. Okay. And as you can see here, he's done quite a bit. Now, Civil War, of course, being the absolute newest film. Okay. But then you had Men a couple of years ago. He's also done TV. Okay, he did Annihilation, which Amy Adams got an Academy Award nomination for, and I think one of the better movies out there, Ex Machina. Okay, and that was done 10 years ago. So he's been around the block. He knows what he's doing. Okay, this has a very solid cast to it. Okay, first and foremost, you have Kristen Stewart, or I'm sorry, I was thinking of Love Lies Bleeding. Kirsten Dunst, okay, however you want to pronounce her name. Fantastic actress, okay? And anybody she has been around for, well, over 20 years. Okay. And I'm going to, she, of course, was in the very first um, Spider Man movie with Tobey Maguire. That being said, and by the way, guys, just a little side note, I am going to be doing what I'm calling Spidey streams. So every single week, if you may or you may not know, what Sony is going to do starting on the 15th of this month, okay, Monday, what they are going to do is they are going to start releasing every single Spider Man, re release every single Spider Man, one every week. So, I mean, I've seen all of them, but I haven't seen them in a long time. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to go see every single Spider Man. And there's stories behind some of them. They're not going to get into them now because we're talking about Civil War. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and watch the films. And then, as I said, I'm going to do what I'm going to call it Spider Streams. And I'm going to probably, hopefully, get some guest hosts on here, and we're going to talk about what they remember and everything else. Okay, so that's what Kirsten does really. I mean, she's done Wimbledon, she's done a lot of other good films. Okay, Wagner Moore, very good, and they never really establish if they're a love interest or they're just friendships, platonic. That was good. Um, Stephen, let me get his name correct here. Stephen McKinley Henderson. Okay, he was very good. He was very, very good for what the role he played, and you kind of knew he was going to be a part-time character just because of what was said in the beginning, and he did die. As I said, guys, this is a spoiler cast, so I'm going to, if you don't want to know, and you're going to go see this, go watch on Saturday because I will release this. But he does die midway through. And so, you kind of, a couple lines of dialogue I actually saw, and I went, okay, that's not a shock. Kaylee, I'm going to get her name right. Kaylee Sparnis. She was awesome. She was incredible. She was magnificent. So she played the young girl, Jessie. Okay. Um, and she is fantastic. So she's known for Priscilla. Um, Bad Times at the El Royale. So, I mean, that was a couple of years ago. Pacific Rim Uprising, that was a sequel. Okay. And she's done like The Craft Legacy. And so she's done a couple of other things. Okay. She was fantastic, guys. She was absolutely fantastic. And, I'm going to show you a couple of shots. And I kind of knew where it was going, but I wanted to see it for myself. She was unbelievable, and she's going to get a lot of work um, moving forward. Those are really the four that you have to worry about. The other two were mainly co-stars. So, um, like I said, it was a really good cast, and it was a really good dichotomy between the characters, um, and I loved all of that. As we opened the film, okay, it was really cool. So yes, that is Nick Offerman, in case you're aware. Okay, he was only in two shots of the whole film, really. Okay, this shot, I mean, or scenes, I should say. This scene here, okay, in the final scene of the film. That's it. But and I'm going to get to the final scene and what I thought about that in a couple of minutes. But in the very beginning, okay, we see him rehearsing this speech that he gets in front of the camera for. And what they did was they intermixed all of these acts of revolution, okay, whether it's cars being flipped over, burning buildings, police, having to deal with riots and whatever else. And it was, you saw the devious grin on his face, and he was rehearsing the lines, and it was fabulous. It was absolutely fabulous. And so then they cut away from that. Okay. And then we go to a riot, or so we think. Okay, we've got police in there, and we've got a bunch of rioters. It was a riot, okay? And so we see Kirsten Dunst's character and the other character, the male character, and basically at that point they roll up, and so they were going to cover it. And so we see Jesse, okay, who is trying to cover this riot, and you can see how young she looks, okay. And so what ends up happening is Lee, okay, that's Kirsten Dunst's character, she's off in the distance, and she sees Jesse get hit across the face. And so she makes her way through the crowd and she pulls her out. Okay. She's like, "Are you all right?" And she's like, "I'm okay." "Oh, wow, you're so and so." And she was kind of starstruck. And so she offered her her vest because she was press. So because she didn't want to get injured. And she's like, "No, I'm fine." Okay. And just as that conversation was in, out of nowhere, there's a huge explosion. Now, what A24 did a lot of in this film, and I loved it, it was visually stunning in so many ways. So the explosion goes off, okay? And so she takes cover with Lee, but notice what it says on the car. And that's deliberate, guys. Courtesy, professionalism, respect. Complete. Um, it was absolutely deliberate, completely deliberate there. And so she saves her life. And so she finds out where she's staying and what they're going to do, okay, is they're going to go interview the president, Nick Offerman, okay, and they want to get a quote. What they said they want to get a quote. Now they're in New York, so they're talking with the character, okay. Excuse me, guys. They're talking with I just saw the film, but I can't remember their name. Sorry, guys. They're talking with Sammy, and he's an older reporter, okay, and basically he's going to, he wants to go, but he's an older guy. And she makes the point of, "Hey, look, you're older. I don't think you'll be able to make it, whatever," because they're in a war zone. And that all being said, Jesse's going to tag along. And when we start to see her, because Lee's upset, she's like, "Look, she can't handle herself. She's a kid." So she tags along, and it's really a coming of age story. Okay, and that seems crazy. You go, "What?" But it's true. It's a coming of age story. And we have this older reporter in Lee, and we have this younger reporter who idolizes her in Jesse. And there's a scene where they actually pull off on the side of the road, and Lee wants her to take photos of an old helicopter that's downed. And at that point, Jesse's like, "Look, I know you didn't want me to come, okay, but I wanted to see what was out there and everything else." And so they kind of clear the air at that point. And once they clear the air, okay, they go on their way. And at that point, you start to see her start to grow up in front of your eyes. And so she actually sees, so they stop for gas, okay? And so this guy, so they have to barter for the gas. And then she walks around the back, and there's two guys hanging in what we're going to call a makeshift garage by their hands, and they're beaten up and they're bloodied. And so at that point, she didn't know what was going to happen, and the guy's like, "Flip a coin." So she didn't think they were going to get shot. She was physically shaken by it. And Lee's like, "Look, that's your wake up call. You've got to get with the program." And so as the movie progresses, okay, you start to see Lee and Jesse really bond, okay? Not in a motherly daughter way, okay, but in a colleague way. And she's showing her the ropes. I mean, there's a scene in a stadium once they get to a certain point where, Jesse's developing film, and that's actually a pretty cool scene because you get the backstory of Lee, okay? And so she, tells her a couple of things, and she's like, "Yeah, that's on my Wikipedia page." She's like, "Well, tell me what the actual story is." So that was an interesting way of talking about the backstory. Um, and so the more she first she idolizes her, and then she starts to pick up on things, on how she's doing things. Why is she doing this and everything else? And you know, then there's a firefight, okay, and of course they're following the soldiers. So what ends up happening is these soldiers take down this building. And by the way, guys, I gotta say one thing about this. If there are a couple of moments here that are pretty visceral, and there are some disturbing images. There's a reason why it's rated R. Okay, I'm just going to put that out to you right now. There are some very disturbing images. And that being said, one of the shots, so you actually see the photos getting better. And so at the stadium, this scene I was just describing, she's like, it's usually like a 30-to-1 ratio, which means for every 30 shots that you take, okay, you're going to get one quality shot. And she's like, it was actually really another good quality scene. So you see Jesse start to go through the pictures in the developer, and all you see is her knees, and she's cranking it, the little dial, and then she stops, and then she hands it to Lee, and she's like, "That's a really good shot." And then you start to see the transition, right? Once that happens, she's started to grow up. And then there's, as I said, this is a picture of a scene where these military people take down a building and they capture these people. And you see these guards, okay, and the WF, okay, and they get captured and they have bags over their head. And the next shot you see is in slow motion, okay. You start to see the bodies go down and the bullets start to hit. And she's taking pictures. And in the meantime, it cuts between her taking pictures, and that's another whole thing I want to get into in just a minute. And then it shows the guy at the Gatling gun just unloading, screaming at the top of his lungs. And you're forgetting about that these are actual people, right? Because there's two different sides. The other thing I'll say real quick is it was a fantastic job of how they were actually able to capture the picture in the picture. So occasionally, at first, when Lee would take a shot with her camera, her professional camera, you would see the black and white. And then that's what they started to do with Jessie. So every time she took a really good or momentous or graphic or crazy shot, they went to black and white. Whether it was a guy reloading his gun or whether it was somebody yelling at somebody or whatever it was. And quick black and white shot. And then it went back to the actual action. And I thought that was fantastic. Um, but that being said, this is another coming of age, growing up type of moment for Jesse. And so that was so as we see them move along, um, so there's that one scene, of course, that everybody is it's memed out there now, and you know, um, and everything else. Um, Let me see if I can. So essentially, it's the what kind of American are you, right? And that is the um, so that is the scene that everybody is referring to in this movie. What kind of American are you? And it's always interesting to see when they cut a um, when they cut a trailer. Okay, what exactly they're able to do. And so that being said, this was a very interesting shot. So this is the shot here. I'm going to bring this up for you guys right now. By the way, this is Jesse Plemons, Power of the Dog, a number of other films he's done. Um, so, what kind of American are you? So, you hear him say, well, you're Central American, North American, whatever. And without any hesitation, okay, so let me preface it by saying this. A couple of their colleagues, there was a scene where they were racing up. There was a truck racing up behind them. And it was a couple of their colleagues. They found them. So then the girl, Jessie, goes into the car that gets captured. Okay. And the other guy goes into this car. Okay. So they find the car. Then they find this guy, Jesse Plemons' character, the soldier, and another soldier. And this guy, Jesse, he's pouring salt. We don't see what he's pouring salt on. And then through the lens of Lee's camera, we see a truck of all these bodies. And this truck is backing up and it's dumping these bodies into something. And once again, very disturbing image, I thought. But it was, it was graphic, but it was necessary. And so what you don't see it. So when they approach, okay, you have Lee, Sammy, and the male character, and they start talking, okay, and that's when he asks, "What kind of American are you?" Blah 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 blah. Boom! Just pops the guy on his knees. Just done. I mean, just visceral. Okay. So then he's talking with Lee, and so the other guy, that was his friend, he's crying. And he's like, well, what is this guy crying about? So he's like, well, what kind of American are you? And he poses the question again. Or he says, where are you from? So then he tells, Jesse says, I'm from Missouri. Lee says, I'm from Colorado. And then the other guy says, he's from, I think, Nebraska or something. And so he asks, where are you from? Do you speak English? And he's physically shaken up. I mean, he's trying to, and he's like, I'm from Hong Kong. And just out of nowhere, boom, he just pops the guy. And so he's about ready to shoot the other character. And all of a sudden, the press truck you see, okay, Sammy's there. Okay, once again, not being able to move well and everything else, just pops the guy. Okay, he pops him and he pops the other guy. And so they go flying. Jesse goes flying into what we didn't see. And it was a bunch of bodies, dead bodies. And the overhead shot, and all you see are these bodies around. And there's all this white over there. And the white is salt. So it helps it decay. And like, whoa. Once again, disturbing shot, but because they wanted to be graphic about it and show what they were doing. And at that point, so you see, it just slows way down. It's in slow motion, okay, because she's just mortified. And so she starts to climb out, and he gets her out, and they get out. There's a third guy we don't see. He comes around, grabs the gun, reloads it, and starts shooting. Now, once again, this was a great job of seeing, okay, or actual having it done, but not showing, okay. And we see Jesse, Okay, that the shot on the thumbnail that you guys see, that's her. Okay, screaming at the top of her lungs because she's looking over at Sammy, but we don't see Sammy. Okay, and what ends up happening is she literally pukes, and what ends up happening is he gets shot, and Jesse, and I'm sorry, Sammy, he gets shot, and he was driving, so they have to pull over and they put him in the back seat, and so he eventually dies. Okay, midway through the film, I mean that's about it. And the next sequence you see, it was a song, okay, a great song. I forgot what the name of it was. Um, but you see the fire on both sides in the sparks, and it was just visually gorgeous. And it was like a dream sequence, okay? And you see, Sammy is like he knew he was gonna die. And so he dies. And so they end up going to make it to Charlottesville. And so Lee had actually taken a picture of him. And then you see, we see a moment of her alone. And then she she deletes the photo. She deletes the photo. And so then she goes and has a chat with Jesse and says, this is probably one of the most fucked up things you're ever going to hear in your life. But he could have gone in a lot of different ways. And this wasn't too bad. This was one of the films. This is one of the least repugnant ways he could have gone out. He loved doing what he was doing. Um, so one of my loyal viewers, hey Dave, just stopping by to say hi. I haven't seen this yet. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, Dadpool, if you don't want to know, and I put this in the thing and everything else, don't stick around. Okay, do not stick around. I don't want to spoil this for you. Okay, but thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. But that being said, so he dies, and we knew he was. I kind of had a feeling. So as we see, so that's about halfway through the film, okay, and at that point they are trying to make their way to Washington D.C. to get the president. So that's the whole basis. So the first 2/3 of this movie, the first two acts, okay, are essentially them traveling to DC. Okay. Once they get to the outskirts of like Charlottesville and once they get in there to DC, then things really start to pick up. The way you knew how close they were is they had, the mileage on the screen. So it was like 418 miles to DC. Okay. So that was how they tracked time. Okay. Um, so so Sammy dies. And now we see Lee, okay, who is starting to break down. I mean, there is she's starting to break down. Okay. Jesse's getting more bold. She's getting more bold. She's getting more confident in what she's doing. And Lee's starting to break down. And there's a scene right in the beginning where she's sitting in a tub, okay, and she's getting flashbacks of all the trauma she's gone through. And so when she meets Jesse, so you actually start to see one start to go downhill, the decline of one and the incline of another. And that being said, as I said, she gets more confident. And so, I mean, this is like one of the shots in DC. This is in the third act. Okay. And, she starts to move out and do things. And they're like, get over here, but she's starting to become more confident in the shots that she's doing. Anyways, they get to DC. Okay. After going through a tumultuous amount of things. And so yeah, okay. So I was just seeing if I had any other pictures for you guys. But um so yeah, they get to DC. And so the WF is going to, you know, surrender or whatever. And then so they are going to go get the president, and they get the president. Um and so they think that they have the president from the White House, and it was a decoy. So the reporters know it, okay? So they all go into the White House, okay? And then the military follow them. A couple firefights ensue. And then I will say one thing about this film, and I could, for the people that had seen it, they said, well, it's very anticlimactic. And I can see why they said that. So they get the president, and they're about to kill him. And it's like, well, wait. So Joel says, wait. And he leans in and he's like, I need a quote. And he's like, don't let him kill me. He's like, okay. Boom. And then it goes to white and the credits start rolling. So you can definitely see how it's anticlimactic. There's a couple of things I want to say off the top. First and foremost, I have the utmost respect. I mean, we don't see, we always see reporters and everything else and journalists. I have the utmost respect for the journalists that can do this, because the trauma, what they see and how they see it all the time. People that cover wars, it just, we don't have any idea the mental state and how they're able to do this, but they are. I have all the respect in the world for that. That's first. A couple of things I would have personally liked to have seen. Okay. Number one, I would have liked to have seen a shot at. So the way, let me preface it by saying this: before the president gets killed, okay, they're in the White House. Jesse's going to go out and take a photograph, and at that point, Lee steps out, okay, and she gets shot. Now I thought, okay, so here's that shot again of Lee saving Jesse. I thought that because you're going to have some sort of symmetry, I thought that Jesse was going to save Lee. But as you start to see the inverse of Lee go down, we start to know that, okay, she's going to die. So Lee gets shot. One of the very, cool is not the right word, well done things that they did, okay, was so she pushes Jesse down. And so Jesse takes up her camera and starts snapping at like 1, 2, 3, 4 as she gets shot. Now you say, well, how is that good? Because she's getting her mentor on film. Okay. This is what she's doing for a living. Okay. She's hit the pinnacle, if you will, of the craft, being able to do this and have it done. I put that horribly, guys, but you understand what I mean, okay? That being said, I would have liked to have seen. So then the whole president thing, they kill the president. That's the end of the movie. Couple of things I would have liked to have seen. Number one, I would have liked to have seen a scene where, after the whole thing was over, okay, because we saw that Lee erased Sammy's photograph. I would have liked to have seen a scene where Jesse erased Lee's photograph. Okay, that would have brought a little more symmetry for it. Okay, another scene I would have liked to have seen. Okay, would have liked to have had done would have been after everything was done. So maybe they cut away 6 months later. Okay, we see Sammy, or we see Jesse starting to put the photographs in a binder, in a photo album of all of the good quality images that she has. And if she wanted, and the last one that she would have put in would have been Lee's picture. Okay, I would have liked to have seen that. Um, so it was really a cut and dry type of thing. Like I said, Nick Offerman was only in two scenes in this movie: the very beginning and the very end. Um, and it was, how do I put it? It was visceral. It was violent, as wars are. Okay, it was ruthless. The ending was a, a I don't know. Okay, I'll call it what it is: anticlimactic. Okay, there was no like, that's it. Okay, they killed him, and that was it. Done. Good night. Thanks for coming, guys. I would have liked to have seen a little resolution after. Um, Overall, though, fantastic movie. Visually stunning. Okay, this shot here. Okay, when we actually go and get into this shot first, you see the red. And by the way, guys, delivered. Okay, the lighting, the red lighting behind him is all deliberate. Okay, just like the shot of um, Nicholson's character in The Departed I did the other day for the perfect movies. Which, by the way, guys, that is the perfect movie of the month. Go check that out. I'll put the link right up there for you guys. Um, that being said, the red behind it. Okay, the red glasses. So you had all this different color. You had the red glasses. You had the green camouflage. You had the white from the salt. Very well done. As I said, the dream sequence, if you want to call it that, when Sammy was dying, the sparks would just it worked all the way around. Um, yeah, yeah, it just the whole film. I mean, so the only other one of the few films I can think of that in recent years, off the top of my head, to really have the same inverse, upward climb, decline, is A Star Is Born. The 2018 A Star Is Born, where we see Jackson, who's once he meets um, Lady Gaga's character, okay, Allie, and she starts to become more prominent and more famous and have her uprising, we start to see Jackson's decline. That's the only other thing until he gets to a certain point where it peaks. And when it peaks, okay, in this scene here, like I said, it was the stadium shot where she had that one perfect, shot, and Lee really um, complimented her. That was the pinnacle type of shot. Everything else was a decline after that. See, that's like I said, A Star Is Born is about the only other movie I can think of right now off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of others that really have that same thing. Overall, guys, I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was a solid movie. Um, I thought it was well written. I thought that it's violent. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's called Civil War for a reason. Okay, there was a lot of blood and guts. Okay, um, but you know, it worked. It really worked. I mean, the ending was, as I said, it was anticlimactic. But beyond that, and there were a couple of other scenes that I would have liked to have seen put in, but otherwise, I really liked it. I really, really enjoyed it. Um, this is another quality film from A24, the second that I've seen this year, and um, so a couple of it's always interesting to me to see how many people were in the theater for a Thursday showing, right? Because that's really going to kind of dictate whether if it's going to do perform well or not. Now, there's really not much out at this point, so it's going to do pretty well, and it was highly anticipated. But there was, I don't know, 15, 16 people in the theater, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a It's a Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. So take it for what it's worth. Um, the other one that I really want to see, I saw a preview of it tonight, is Maxine. That looks really good. Um, yeah, and then so yeah, that looks fantastic. And then there's a bunch of other stuff coming up this summer. But yeah, so that is Civil War. Um, I like I said, I really liked it. It was good. Ending's a little anticlimactic, but it was a good time. So, a couple of things for you guys. Um, I just put up yesterday, and once again, guys, I want to apologize. I have a job, I have a life. I'm trying to get this channel going, so that's why I'm not posting with regularity on a regular basis. However, I just did put up a new anatomy of a movie video, and I did Heat, the coffee shop scene. So I broke down, and it's about 10 or 11 minutes, but I basically broke down for you guys what Michael Mann was trying to go for. And you guys are going to be getting up. Those take a little time, but when they're done well, you guys can enjoy those. Um, we're already in the 11th. Okay. So that means I'm going to try to expedite some of these. But you guys are going to get some retrospectives. This is going to be kind of a busy kind of time for me. Okay, I just saw The Dark Knight the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact. And by the way, guys, I'm going to have Phil Walsh on. Okay, probably lit 15th, 16th. Okay, we still have to set up a date, exact date, but he's going to come on. I mean, I would like to think we've all seen The Dark Knight. If you haven't, go check it out. Go check out the Perfect Movies video I did on it. It was a different experience in the theater. I never got a chance to see it in theaters, so it was a different experience. But Phil's going to be coming on, and we're going to be talking all about that. Starting Monday, we've got the Spider-Man movies starting one a week. On Tuesday, on the 16th, I am going to be taking that off. I'm going to go see Spider-Man on Monday. I'm going to start the Spidey streams on Tuesdays. Okay, so every single Tuesday, I've seen all the Spider-Mans. I hope you guys have seen all the Spider-Mans, and we're just gonna. I haven't seen them in a while, so maybe there's things. I'm sure there's things in there I've forgotten. So we're gonna do Spidey streams every Tuesday. Summer. There's a lot of stuff coming out for summer. We've got the Fall Guy coming out. Okay, that's May 3rd. Okay, we've got Kingdom and the Planet of the Apes. Okay, and we've got I forgot there's a new Bad Boys movie coming out. Um, I mean, everybody's talking about Joker 2, and that looks really good. And so that being said, um, there's some other movies. Oh, of course, we have Deadpool and Wolverine. How could I forget about that? That is the perennial number one most anticipated movie of this year, in this summer. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out this summer. Now, it's not as big as last summer was. Last summer, I was doing spoilercast every week, The Flash and Transformers and Guardians 3 and, all those other movies, Mission Impossible. But there is some stuff that I'm going to be covering for you guys this summer. So, all of that being said, okay, now I'm going to get to the point of the video where I want everybody to stick with me. Do me that favor. Give me 5 minutes of your time. We have, almost 30 people in here. I want to say thank you for that. Just stick with me for 5 minutes, 5 more minutes, because I want to really show you guys what I want this to be. Okay. And that's memberships. And you say, oh God, he's going to ask for money. Yes and no. Yes, I'm going to ask you for your loyalty. Okay. No, I'm not going to ask you for money right away. What I've done is I've made this extremely cheap for everybody. Okay. In the first month, okay, and you're not going to pay a dime. Okay. I know money is tight. Look, I got to be honest with you guys. I know money is tight right now. I'm the same. I'm in the same boat as everybody out there. Okay. But that all being said, okay, I've made this as cheap as I possibly can. Okay. And so the first month is going to be completely free. Okay. I have 3 levels. $2.99 a month. Now, if you go to Starbucks, you're going to get like a flavored beverage. You're going to be paying a little more than $2.99 a month. $6.99 a month. Okay. That's a gallon of gas in LA, guys, right now, today. Okay. And my highest, guys, my highest is $10 a month, $9.99 a month. Okay. Now, the way I'm going to equate it to you guys is this: HBO Max, which I have, is $9.99 a month. Okay. Hulu is right now cracking down on their passwords. Okay. So if you are sharing an account with somebody, they can no longer, or they will no longer be able to use your account. So they're going to have to go get their new account. Netflix is raising their prices. Okay. That's all more than $10 a month. I'm giving you all of this stuff: anatomy of a movie, perfect movies, retrospectives, interviews every now and then. Okay. All for $10 a month. Now, here's what I tell people. Okay. Now, I do have goals. Okay. I'm going to I'll talk about the goals in just a minute. But here's what I tell people: I want you to join for a month. It's not going to cost you a dime. Watch some of the material. Okay. And by the way, guys, that's why I do a bunch of different things. Because if you don't like retrospectives of movies, I want you to be able to do like perfect movies. And if you don't like the perfect movie series, I want you to go over and do, you know, anatomy of a movie and really do a whole deep dive into a scene from a film or themes. What I tell people is this: okay, join for a month. It's not going to cost you a dime. Watch the material. Okay. If you like it, thank you very much for supporting me. Okay. If you don't, if you don't think I'm giving you enough retrospectives, or if you don't think there's enough material coming out or whatever, cancel. You're not going to hurt my feelings, because I don't want to take your money. Okay. I only want to take your money. That sounded horrible. I would only like you to support me if you believe I'm giving you enough content. Okay. And that being said, I do have goals. So one of my goals, I have two main goals. One goal is this: I'd like to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of this year, this calendar year. Okay. With your help, I can do that. Okay. If you do nothing else, guys, please, 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 please hit that like and subscribe button. What that does is two things. Number one, it tells me you enjoy the material. Number two, it gets it out to others. And number three, I know that I'm doing a good job. That being said, I want to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of this year, calendar year, which I think is plausible. And I'd like to get between 15 to 20 paid memberships. Okay. Because I love movies. I love making videos. I love doing these streams, but I can't do it without your help. I have a job. Okay. And this is why I don't post on a regular basis. I know I have to get in front of this. Okay. And I know that. And I need about a month to really. I have movies, a ton of movies that I need to watch. And I've seen all these movies before, and I don't want to bullshit you guys. Okay. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, I watched this. No, this is why I do breakdowns. Okay. Of scenes, of movies, and everything else. All that being said, okay, I would like your support. So please, guys, like I said, if you do nothing else, hit the like and subscribe button, but consider becoming a channel member. Okay. Because you will help me out. This is what I want to do for a living. Okay. And I understand too that it's going to take time to grow. I get that. This is going to happen overnight in the blink of an eye. I totally understand that. But I want this to grow. And the more this grows, the more people get to see it. And the more people get to see it, everybody loves movies, guys. It doesn't matter if they're musical films or horror films or action movies or sci-fi. Everybody loves movies. And movies, there is a movie out there for everybody, and it's personal. And I want to be that person, okay, to bring you the best content possible. So, yeah, I mean, I'm always thinking about new ideas for the channel, okay? And I'm always thinking about what can I do to make it different from everybody else. Because at the end of the day, guys, okay, I want to be different from everybody else. That's why I started the Perfect Movies series. Because I didn't want to be like somebody else. Okay? So, but I would really, really like your support. That's the end of the day, the moral of the story is I would really like for you to support me. So thank you for that. Um, but yeah, that's that's about it. I wanted to come on tonight because I'm going to be working for the next few days. So anybody who's watching right now, thank you very much. Um, you know, go see Civil War. If you get a chance this weekend or whatever, go see Civil War. I did put in the title, guys, that this is a spoiler cast. One last time, I'll say it. I did put in the title that this is a spoiler cast. I don't know how many people went to go see it tonight. If you haven't seen it, okay. If you have seen it, I'd really like to know your thoughts. So drop your thoughts and comments down in the comment box because I really like to hear what you guys have to say about some of the things I touched upon. Okay. So that's going to do it for me for the evening. Uh, thank you, everybody that stopped by and stayed with me for almost 52 minutes. So you know what's coming up on the channel. You know what's going to be coming up this summer on the channel, and I can't wait, guys. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to bring this stuff to you. Okay. One last thing before I go, I'll say this. If you want to follow me on X, I can't believe I'm going to say X, but Twitter. Okay. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that is my Twitter handle down there in the bottom left hand corner. Want to be rounder. Okay. It's the same profile picture. Um, Follow me. Okay. I'm always in there. I'm always in spaces talking about movies or tweeting about movies or, retweeting about movies or whatever. So, and then, drop me a note, say hi. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. Do the three things we've got to do every single day. Okay. One is be careful. Two is be safe. And three, have a good day tomorrow, guys. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for me. Um, I'm David Steele. This has been Real Talks, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one, guys. Bye bye.